Hi, this is Sharon Massey with www.stampsidebyside.com. I am so excited to be here today. I have just had a wonderful gift from my upline. I have the most awesome upline, and I've made this card with what she gave me, and I'm going to show that to you. She gave me the Varied Vases bundle, and that includes this wonderful photopolymer set that was designed by Mary Fish. And I love the sentiments in it. It says, thanks, hello, birthday wishes, hoping your day blooms with happiness. You are simply the best. And then it's got all the lovely vases and the flowers to go with it. And then to step things up, you can always use this punch to punch things out to give it more dimension. So I've got the best upline ever, let me tell you. So what I'd like to do is show you how I made this card with the beautiful gift that Celia gave me. So that's what we're going to start with. Your supplies that you're going to need, your paper, you're going to need, excuse me, a piece of paper that measures 4 1/4 by 11. And we're going to score it at 5 1/2. So that will be your card base. And we're going to set that aside. You're also going to need 2 pieces of Whisper White. Each of these pieces are cut at 5 inches by 3 3/4. So you need 2 of those. One's for the inside, one's for the outside. And then finally you need some thin strips. This is 1/8 of an inch and this is basic gray, and then this is smoky slate, and it is 1/4, and they need to be at least 3 inches, just 3 1/2 would even be better. So those are the things that you are going to need to make this card. So let me get started and I'll show you what we're going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of paper, and I wanted to show you that there are these wonderful framelits that are just available between now and the end of this month, August, and then they go away. And they are the stitched, I believe they're called Stitch Seasons framelits, and there are 3, and I have the third one, the middle one, that's pulled out because I'm going to be using it. But I wanted to show you this. This is a great framelit set. It's got a little bow, it's got a flower, it's got a ribbon. Can use it for a lot of different occasions. So you might want to take a look at that. Remember that it is not going to be available after August 2018. So just be aware. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of paper and I am going to run it through the Big Shot. I'll be right back. I've brought this over here from the Big Shot to show you how it's cut out. The nice thing about these framelits is the positive and the negative part of this, where the images would be, are both stitched. So when I pull this off, this piece of paper has stitching all the way around, but the cutout piece also has stitching all the way around, and that is just wonderful. We're going to use both of these pieces in our card. What I'm going to do is set this aside, and I want to pull in my Stamparatus. So just give me a second, and I'm going to pull that in here. Okay, I'm going to take this piece and stamp on it. I've already preset my plates with the stamps. I will be double checking to make sure that they're good. One of the things that I like to do is I like to set something underneath the plastic plate that I am going to be stamping on. I tend not to overstamp as much, so I'm going to take this block and slide it under the plastic plate so that it is more level and makes the stamping a little bit easier. Then I'm going to take the piece that we just die cut out. I have a line right here. This is just a piece of old grid paper that I cut 7 by 7. It just helps me line things up. And so I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it up against the base of the hinges. I'm going to line these curves up so that they are right on the edge of that line. And then I'll just slide my magnets over to that side and over to, if I can grab this one, this side right here. I'm going to stamp up, and I'm going to use smoky slate ink. And I'm going to stamp up the images and the verse that I have here. What's nice is that I don't have to have 3 separate blocks to do this. I can just do it on here. Now what I'm going to do is wait a minute. I'm going to ink this a little more because right now on this side it looks like the ink is uneven. So I am going to just try to make sure I get an even ink. Now when you put it down and you have more solid images, you want to rub your finger across because you want to push that ink all the way across the solid image. And on this, you want to just press down because you don't want to spread that ink. So on your solid image, give it a good press. On this, press it, but don't really push and move it around a lot. So here we go. Here is the image that we've got with that. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to move, well, I don't want to move that. Just a minute. Let me put that back. I do want to move the magnet back down. Excuse me. Then what we're going to do is we are going to stamp in the blossoms. Now, I've already pre-positioned those, but what I do want to do is I want to get a Post-it note and take it and just cut it basically in half. Doesn't have to be exact by any means. And I'm going to use that to mask my vase because I don't want the stem stamped down in the vase. So I'm just going to just barely let the top, and I mean barely let the top of that vase show. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Again, just barely letting it show. Okay, so I am going to stamp the images of the flowers in Memento because I will be coloring that with the blends. I absolutely love the blends. Let you have a little more shading. Just great. Okay, so I'm going to look at this and it looks like it's pretty good. So I'm going to mash that down and again, just give it a good press. And if you miss something, the beautiful thing about the Stamparatus is you can go back and do it. So now we'll peel off the mask. And I will be back. I'm going to go color this, and when I'm through coloring it, I'll come right back. Here is my colored image completed. I wanted to let you know what I did with it. Up in the blossoms in here, I took the darker, this is flamingo pink, and I put darker flamingo pink on the bottom petals, and just a dot at each of the center petals, and then took the lighter flamingo pink and I pulled that out to give it a little bit of shading. And wherever I thought there might be some shadows, like on this one right here, I just put a dot or two of the darker and then just pull that darker color over with the lighter flamingo pink. Same thing with these berries and these flowers down here. This color is Pineapple Punch. Absolutely love this color. It is a happy yellow, let me tell you. And so that's what I did with this. I also took a sponge dauber and just put it into the smoky slate and then just took it and went around the edges to get this definition in here because I want it to pop out when it's set back into the piece of paper from which it was cut. So that's what we did with that. So we're going to set that aside for a minute and we're going to now go to this piece. I'm going to use the Softly Falling embossing folder, and that's this folder right here. The one thing about this folder is that the density of the dots that are going to be embossed is greater down at the bottom than at the top. We have it, very thick here, or and then as it gets up, there are fewer and fewer of those embossed dots. I really didn't want that for this card. What I wanted for this card was something that was a lot more even than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cardstock, my white cardstock that I've cut, and I'm going to line it up in here. And what I want to do is I'm going to go to those points and I'm going to line up my dots with those points. Now, I'm not talking about the bottom edge of the folder. I'm talking about, if you'll look, there'll be a clear space and then the embossing starts. And I want these points to be where the embossing starts. And I'm going to go run this through the Big Shot and I will be right back. I've just finished embossing. As you can see, I've got the top half embossed. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that embossing roller and I'm just going to turn this paper around, and I'm going to repeat that process, taking those points and lining them up with the beginning of the dots where they go. So I'm going to do that. I will emboss this part and I will be right back. I'm now going to take this piece that we just got through embossing and I'm going to glue it onto our card base. So I'm going to pull over my silicone mat so I don't get glue all over the back of the card and everything. And I'm going to apply glue. Now if you wanted to add a little more dimension, you could put some dimensionals in there or some of the dimensional strips to give it more depth and definition. But I decided I really just wanted this to be a little more, it didn't need to be that because I think the shading is going to take care of that. So you try to line it up the best you can. I'm always saying that because I'm always trying. And then you lay it down. Then you take the piece that you've colored and you just drop it down in there, but before, and you can leave it like that, but before you do, those little strips that I was talking about, they're these. So about 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, the little bitty one, and I'm going to put glue on it, and I'm going to put it on top and try to center it, which might be tricky. Excuse me. I'm going to try to center that in the middle of that gray strip. So I'm hoping that comes out pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to decide where I want it, and I'm going to glue it down. So I'll go back on top of this. And don't worry about these long tails. I just used some scraps, and that's happened to be the length of the scrap that I had. And so now I want to try to get it where it is pretty much straight. And I think I'd like it about there. And so then all I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to get my paper snips. Now when you cut this, go at an angle and kind of underneath your paper, your white paper, because then you're not going to mess anything up. So we'll go on this side, we'll do that. And voila, there you are. Now we're ready to set this into the embossed portion that we did. So we'll do that real quickly. And it will just drop right down into here. And there you've got the outside of your card. For the inside of the card, what you want to do is just take your other piece of paper that measures 5 inches by 3 3/4. Take the sentiment out of the stamp set, the Varied Vases, that says you are simply the best. And now I'm going to go on and stamp that. Because I'm not using the stamparatus, I want to hold this up to the light and make sure, and I way overstamp this. So I am going to wipe it off and try again. I want to show you something. I'm going to just stamp off on here because it was over inked. You can see those lines. I just didn't do a good job. That's one reason why I love the stamparatus. I should have just pulled it back in here. You can, once you do that, they've come out with this cleaning chamois, which is just wonderful, and I can just go over that. It is better than baby wipes because you're not getting the lint, and it cleans it, and this is washable. You keep it wet. I put mine in one of the stamp cases because that keeps it moist. I don't have to wet it every day, so that's a plus. Now I'm going to try stamping this again, very gently. And if this doesn't work, then I may put this back into the stamparatus to make sure that I've got it. Okay, so I'm going to put this down here to try to line it up a little bit, hopefully to help me keep things straight. And now I'm going to come in here and put down, "You are simply the best." And hopefully this time I got enough ink. There we go, "You are simply the best." I'm now going to take the stamp that was originally on the Stamparatus, the Blossom, and I am going to ink that up with my Memento ink. And this time I want the whole stem. Again, trying not to, and I just want to make really sure that I've got all of it. Okay, I think that's good. I'm just going to come over here like this and stamp that. And then I'll color it. And I'll show you what it looks like on the inside when I'm through. So here's the inside of the card. Again, I used the same technique that I did the last time using the blends, the Flirty Flamingo and the Pineapple Punch. One thing that I did want to do is I want to go back and step this up just a little bit by adding the artisan pearls. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm just going to drop them in the center of the flowers. There's a new tool coming out. It's a pickup tool, and I can hardly wait. I'm supposed to get mine tomorrow, so maybe I can demonstrate that. It should make things a lot easier. Then I'm going to go to this color to go into the yellow, I think, rather than having yellow on yellow. I think I'll do that. That's kind of, makes it kind of goldy looking when it's there. And there's my finished card. So that one is fun. When you're using the Stamparatus and you're doing multiples of these, it really goes pretty fast. So I hope you enjoyed that card, and then I want to show you another stepped up version. This one, to be honest, if I were doing it again, I would change the colors. But I did want to show you, I am going to use this for my next card class. It is an easel card. So the differences is that I used the frames so that you would actually have a frame. So I'm using two sets, the medium set and the large set, to get this gray border. Notice that they are all stitched, which really is nice. These right here are actually they've got dimensional, so they're popped up a little bit to give it more dimension. And then this is actually an easel card, so that when you open it, you can reveal the message like this, but then it will just slide right there and it will stand up. So if you would like to learn how to make this card, just go and order the Varied Vases bundle. And just go to my store at www.stampsidebyside.com, place your order, and I will then send you a video through an email so that you can look at it and see how to make that. Now this is another set. This is the Little Wild set, and I'll have that correct name for you on my blog. So if you want to just get the dimensions for this card, they will be on my website at Stamp Side by Side, and there will be a video there on how to do this. And then this one, you will be sent an email if you place an order on my store for the Varied Vases bundle. I hope you have a wonderful day. This was really a lot of fun for me. These are sweet little cards. I can hardly wait to mail them. I think my friends will enjoy them. You have a lovely day. I'll talk to you another time. Bye-bye.